Awesome. Well, thank you again so much for having me here today. Thank you to everybody taking a little bit of time out of their day to be here as well. I'm going to talk extremely fast for this presentation because it has 73 slides in it, and it's something I could probably give in about 2 hours time normally, but I'm going to condense this as much as possible. And so for that exact reason, what I've done is I've actually created a link. I'm going to post this in the Q&A in the chat area so that everybody can download a PDF copy of this presentation. You don't have to do this right now. I'll put the PDF in at the end and remind you guys of that link, but just to let you know that I will put that up since there's so much time to get through all this. So first things first, what I'd love for you to do is if you're not watching on your phone, if you're watching on your computer and your phone is free, I'd love for you to go into the App Store and start downloading this app called Zappar right now. It's available both on the Android App Store and the Apple App Store. So if you're on your phone to watch this, I'm going to show an example as well so you can see what this would look like. So never fear, we're going to get that taken care of. But Brene Brown said it best, owning your story is the bravest thing that you will ever do. And so allow me to share just a little bit of mine so that you can get some background on me. My first job out of college about a decade ago, yes, believe it or not, 10 years ago, was for Glazer Kennedy Insiders Circle in Towson, Maryland. And basically what we did was we worked with 400,000 business owners across the globe to help them better their business, to improve their marketing, improve their sales. And this was back before, YouTube was a popular thing. We actually created a weekly YouTube show. We built a studio in the basement of the office, and we did a weekly show, and it raised $1 million income stream for their business. And this was before the term vlogging was even in the dictionary. This just wasn't a thing that people did at the time. And so we were one of the pioneers in creating that and making that happen, and also creating a profitable income stream for everybody. So I learned from two of the best copywriters in the world, two copywriters and marketing consultants, Dan Kennedy and Bill Glazer. Feel free to look them up. Dan Kennedy's published around maybe 35, 40 books. They're all on Amazon. Just a really cool, interesting all-around guy. But the company was sold in 2012, and we all lost our jobs. So I went to work for Apple, and I worked there for about a year until I realized that it really wasn't the best choice for me, the best option for me. I've decided that I wanted to do something better, to do something different. And I see in the comments here, if anyone's having trouble, feel free to comment in here. I'll try to get the audio or things fixed. But currently, you should see the PowerPoint. So give me a thumbs up in the comments if you do. So I went to work for Apple. Thank you, Emily. So I went to work for Apple. I worked there for about a year, ultimately realized that it really wasn't the best place for me long term. And so after about a year, I actually quit to create ZMBMedia, which is what I have currently. I even passed up on a position to go become a video producer for Facebook and move out to California. Chose that it really wasn't the best thing for me. I did want that entrepreneur lifestyle, but closing one door really did open up 10 more. And so since that time, just a brief timeline, I've quit my job. I've travel hacked and couch surfed my way around the country. I created the Year of Purpose podcast. It's still available on iTunes. You're more than welcome to download it. Over 175 episodes. I published my first book in 2015, which became a #1 bestseller on Amazon. Published 3 more books in 2016. Gave a TEDx talk in 2017. I published my 5th book in 2018. 6th book in 2019, and actually just this year published my 7th book on Amazon. So since then, I've filmed in the real White House, and I've also filmed in the fake White House. That's me in season 5 of House of Cards, episode 11 and 12, I believe. You'll see me sitting in the Oval Office right across from Mr. President there. So I created a top podcast. It quickly rose to the front page of iTunes. It hit the #1 spot in the first 4 weeks, and it stayed there for 9 weeks after that. 175 episodes later, 100,000 downloads later, I've interviewed people like the Iron Cowboy, who ran 50 Ironman races in 50 consecutive days in 50 different states, and the first woman to ever stand up paddleboard the Bering Strait, among many others. I'm a 2-time best-selling author, and I've traveled the world, met some really cool people. You might notice that's Jesse Eisenberg, the actor there from The Social Network and from Zombieland. That's Fifth Harmony in the top right corner. I've led trips across Europe to local youth groups. I've really done so many different things. So why do I share all this? It's really not to gloat. It's to give you some background on me, but also to explain the power of video and what video can do for you. And where that actually comes in is with my most recent book. So this book won't change your life. It is on Amazon, shameless plug, but this book was actually published entirely from video content that was created years ago. So that podcast that I did, we actually recorded video interviews, stripped out the audio to create the podcast, and then ultimately we transcribed that audio, which later became this book. And so this allowed me to share 36 of those interviews and still left me with 139 more to potentially turn into volumes 2, 3, and 4 of this book, which not only creates an income for me on Amazon, it builds credibility being an author. It's also become literally the best business card I've ever given out, and it all came from video. So a quick quote from one of my favorite books, The Storytelling Animal. Jonathan Gottschall said, "We are as a species addicted to story. Even when the body goes to sleep, the mind stays up all night telling itself stories." And that's really why I'm here today. That's why I gave you a little bit of background on me, is because we're addicted to the story. Now let's get into some of the teaching part. So where does video come in? So let's clear something up real quick. This is what people think a videographer does. My friends think that I'm creating Transformers. My mom thinks that I'm filming, presents opening at Christmas. What my clients think I do is just simply holding up my phone. What photographers think I do, that's actually the videographer is getting in the way at the end of the aisle there. And what I think I do, Steven Spielberg, what I really do is just like this. I sit behind a computer quite frequently. But what we do at ZMBMedia is we handcraft videos that grow people, profit, and purpose. And our goal is really to help entrepreneurs and organizations acquire clients with action-driven videos. And we do this by creating moving stories that grow your business while you sleep. Some of our projects include promotional videos, testimonial videos, events and conferences, nonprofit fundraiser videos, social media content, live streaming, very much like this, sales videos, travel videos, and a whole lot more. Just to give you an idea, this is what it takes for a 4-person crew to cover an entire week-long convention with 5,000 attendees. We create studio sets. We film and live stream this. We create news desks where the teens of this particular youth group actually run their own news desk show. It's quite an amazing feat. We do this once a year, every single year. It's probably my favorite event each and every year. So today I want to share with you how far video can go for your business and what it can do for you. And I really love this picture because on the left it says, your camera takes really nice pictures. And then the other guy says, your mouth makes really nice compliments. And the idea is that, it's really about the person behind the camera. It's about the knowledge that they know, not necessarily about the equipment. Everybody's always searching for what's the best this, what's the best that, what's the camera I should use, what's this. But the truth is, if you don't know what you're doing, if you're not creating great content, then it's really not going to be very useful for the long run. So this is where content recycling comes in. Video is truly the one best format that you can recycle into every other format and platform. So let's find out how to do that. So let's say that you're an expert in what you do. And I know I see a couple of panelists, people participating here. David Brown. David, I know you are absolutely an expert in what you do. Crystal, everybody else here. And thank you so much to all of you guys for showing up today. You guys are all experts, right? You know almost everything there is about what you do, and you're a master in your industry. So for the power washing and painting company, they know what type of paint to get. They know how much paint. They know how to patch up holes in the wall. So needless to say, you know a lot of stuff. And so let's take everything that you know and create an ultimate video marketing plan. So we're going to start by taking into account all of the social platforms that you're on, and specifically your clients or your target audience. So you might come up with a list like this: Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and then what media formats that you're digesting content from. So print, things like newspapers, magazines, web, mobile, video, audio, right? Now, next, you want to list out all the different topics that you're an expert on. So I'm just going to use a personal trainer as an example here. They're going to know things about injury prevention, nutrition, losing weight, building muscle, so on and so forth. The list really does go on. Now, break down each of those segments into smaller topics. So with injury prevention, let's say there's post-workout recovery, stretching, using a sauna, KT tape. You see how we can break down a lot of these topics into even smaller bite-sized topics. And then we can break it down even further. So with stretching, maybe there's stretching for low back pain, stretches post-lifting, stretches for runners, stretches for shoulder pain. You see how that one big topic of personal training really breaks down into this huge spider web of all of these subtopics and subtopics of those subtopics. So you see how we can break down that content pretty quickly into bite-sized pieces in just a matter of minutes. Now, here's the fun part. let's say that we film a video anywhere from 1 to 3 minutes about these topics. Good, congrats. You've basically just built your YouTube channel and you probably came up with 100 different video topics that you could be using. But if you want to put this on expert mode, why don't you create a 90-minute keynote speech or presentation that can be split into bite-sized topics. So in my case, I took a 2.5-year-long video podcast and recycled those recordings. Now, we take those recordings, they start as videos, we can upload them to YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn natively. LinkedIn if it's less than 10 minutes, I believe. Create a 60-second teaser that maybe goes on Instagram, or we could even share the YouTube link on Twitter. So we start with our main platforms that everyone's digesting content. But let's take it a step further. Let's start recycling this content. So let's say you take that video and you go to a free website like YouTube to MP3. The link is right up there. There's tons of these websites. If you just Google YouTube to MP3, it'll come right up. You can convert the video to audio. So that's going to strip the audio out and give you an MP3 file. And there's software to do this on the computer. I just wanted to give you the easiest way to do this just for the sake of this presentation. That audio has now become a podcast, which you can syndicate on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Spotify, Libsyn. There's a bajillion other ones, but that just shows you an example of how, okay, we had a video and now we turned it into a podcast. Now, let's take that podcast and turn it into a text format. Well, rev.com is a really good friend of mine, rev.com. I use it all the time for closed captioning on my videos, but they also do transcriptions at $1 a minute. I think they upped it to $1.25, but there's some other options there. So let's say we transcribe this video, turn audio podcast, now turn text. You've now just created for yourself a blog post for your website, a LinkedIn article for a LinkedIn post, SEO and closed captions on both your video and your podcasts, and potentially tweetable little chunks that you can pull out from that transcription. But there's more. Each transcript can also become a mini chapter in an ebook or a printed book, which is exactly the case. And what I did for my book was we took the podcasts, they were roughly 30 minutes, we transcribed them, we took that transcription to a ghostwriter, and the ghostwriter that I outsourced to basically made a Spark Notes or a Cliff Notes summary of each of those interviews and put just the best of the best content into mini chapters in a book. So we've launched books in as little as 4 weeks from start to completion, literally using this exact strategy. And landing the top spot on the Amazon #1 bestseller list is much easier than you'd think. I've done it with multiple books myself. And just to be able to have that credibility to show to others, I think really speaks volumes when you're trying to do things like public speaking. So here's kind of that funnel, your video marketing content funnel. It starts with the presentation, the full keynote, goes down to a 1 to 3 minute video. Now you've got your YouTube video, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram teaser, and then you create that into a podcast. Now you've got your blog post, your LinkedIn article, your closed captions, your book chapter, and all of this leads down to a client coming in or a sale. And this is really why I love video, because all I needed was the video. Everything else can get outsourced or pretty much done without me spending a whole lot of time or effort on it. So here is my shameless plug. I gave one for the book, but I do have to mention that this is exactly what we do. And this is a picture of my studio here. You might recognize Dennis there in that picture on the left. We had him in the studio for some chamber videos a while back. But this is exactly what we do. And it doesn't have to stop at a digital and a printed book. So a little bonus that I've included in this presentation. Again, I will give you guys all a copy of this and a link to this in just a little bit. You can also try the link in the chat window here at zmbmedia.com/present. But I will give that to you in just a little while. So I wanted to bonus 5 ways to incorporate video into your mailing strategy. Some people think that direct mail is dead. Others are doubling down on it right now. Needless to say, it is still a very viable strategy if done properly. So the first one is a customizable video brochure. And I actually have a sample of this here. I could even show you because sometimes the picture doesn't do it justice. So if you see my screen here, video brochure, it can come in multiple sizes. And basically, as soon as you open it, the video plays. And that video is recyclable. You can change the video out. It also recharges with a USB cable. So you could potentially leave this out in a showroom. Let's say if you're a car dealership and you want to be able to sell a really nice fancy Porsche, having that video brochure out in the lobby as something for people to watch over and over again can be a great way to keep people interested and entertained. The next thing is a landing page. A lot of people forget that when somebody visits your website, if you're not capturing their information right away, if they don't make it to that contact page, you're basically losing out on a potential sale or a potential prospect. And so that's why I really recommend landing pages on your website that are simple, easy to use. They just have a video, they collect the email address. And believe it or not, but 59% of executives say that they would rather watch a video than read text. And viewers retain 95% of a message when they watch it in a video. 72% of customers would rather learn about a product or service by way of video. So why aren't we adopting these strategies and basically, working towards how the clients and prospects are digesting information? We should be marketing to them in their own language or on their own level. Does that make sense to everyone? The third one, and this is where Zappar comes in, so get your app ready, go ahead and open Zappar up if you do have your phone available to you, is augmented reality. And this is as simple as printing a QR code or a specific type of code that Zappar creates in this case onto your direct mail piece. And so I'm going to give you a chance here. If you open up your app, go ahead and point it to this screen, and I'll let you guys see the magic that happens here. And if you don't have your phone available to you right now, or if you're watching this call from your phone, I'm going to show you a quick little animation here in a second that shows you what this looks like. But for those of you that do have your phone on right now and are checking this out with Zappar, it's probably pretty wild. And so let me show you guys a quick animation of what this looks like. So this is what my phone screen sees when I hold it up to the code on my computer. And it makes it interactive. It allows you to bring up photos, videos, links to the website. It allows people to get in touch with you and contact them. And this is just another way to get people engaged and moving and doing something rather than just saying, oh, this is just another piece of mail. Let's just throw it out in the recycle bin because, it's just junk like everything else. So that gives you kind of a quick idea, but you could potentially lead people down that rabbit hole or that video funnel that we talked about earlier into becoming a client through a direct mail piece and then leveraging this augmented reality to do something fun like this. Best part is with the paid version, I've been told that you don't need the Zap code. You can actually just use a simple QR code. There's a lot of other really cool things that you can do there with that. And number 4, that leads me to number 4, video follow-up campaigns. A simple email sales funnel. So again, if you're capturing emails, you should be considering sending people follow-up emails until they say yes or until they say no. So if you have somebody who signs up on your website to learn more about your product or your service, you should really be sending them, maybe 3, 4, maybe even 5 emails. Maybe there's, a video in the first one that's welcoming them, that's introducing yourself, maybe answering some questions. These are all things that can be done and set up quite easily with certain software. Happy birthdays. So this is one of my absolute favorites. So my friend Joe Polish, every year, he creates a video with celebrities. In this case, it's Tony Robbins. And what he does is he makes it super generic. He just says, hey, it's Joe here. I'm with my good friend Tony Robbins. We just wanted to wish you a happy birthday. They never specify the name of the person. They keep it evergreen or generic so that they can recycle it and use it all the time. But you could potentially take this video. You could use bit.ly or another link URL shortener to shorten it to something like bit.ly/happy b-day Joe. And you could print that on a happy birthday card that you send to your client. And then they open it up, they get this link, they go to the page, and there's a video from Tony Robbins wishing them a happy birthday. It's just such a memorable thing. And I love that he does this every single year because I get a video from a different celebrity every single time.
Hello, this is Joe Polish. I'm here with my good friend,
so you can see
Tony
that there.
Robbins, and we just wanted to wish you a happy birthday. So
happy birthday. Live with passion, baby.
See you.
And it's quick and easy. It's, a 10-second video. It really doesn't take a whole lot of time. It doesn't have to be Tony Robbins. Maybe you find a local celebrity or somebody that people know in the community or someone that they know in your industry, and you get them to do that. So, if you're a realtor, maybe you're getting, Mr. Keller Williams himself, on video at your next convention. If you're at a Hilton convention because you work for hotels, maybe you're getting, the CEO of the company at some point just to do something like that. It's just a really nice touch point to send to people. Bonus number 2, I'm going to speed up the talking because we've got 20 quick slides left and I want to make sure I don't use up too much more of your time. So you want to do this too, and you're thinking about going live, and now is honestly the best time to do it, as you're seeing right here now on Zoom. Facebook Live is a fantastic tool. Facebook and YouTube both allow you to go live. LinkedIn is starting to incorporate it and roll that out to people as well. So going live is easy, but there's really a few things that you want to know in order to do it right. So I'm going to give you guys a quick behind the scenes look. Actually, if you see my camera here, this is our control room. And I joke with people, this is where SpaceX launches their rocket from. Doing live streams the way that we do it is a huge ordeal. There's so much equipment that's involved with it, but it doesn't have to be that way. And so if you're doing it on a very simple level, maybe from your phone or from your computer, I'm going to give you a couple of tips here. So this is what most people think of going live on Facebook, right? You hold up your phone, it looks something like this. It looks great, sounds great, everybody likes it in comments. But this is what it actually usually ends up looking like. So this image on the left here, it's blown out. We see more of this woman's neck than her face, or the one on the right where the image is pixelated and we can't really see what's going on. So why is this a bad idea to simply just go live from your phone? Well, first of all, going live from your phone depends on the cellular signal or the Wi-Fi signal. You typically want to use a wired Ethernet connection with a 99% guarantee that your signal doesn't drop out. If I hit a dead spot on cellular network or the Wi-Fi drops out for half a second, my live stream is done for. Using a smartphone's built-in mic is also going to sound terrible. The mic was made to pick you up when you're speaking with your face right next to the phone, not from 5 feet away. And so you'll hear everything, including the air conditioner running, the train going by down the street. It's really going to make for a more distracting experience. If you go live vertically, like on the phone, you're also giving up a ton of real estate. This means that you're missing out on placing graphics or text or slides on screen or things with you, and it's just a lot of wasted space. The smartphone cameras also don't pick up lighting the same way that bigger cameras do, and appearance is quite different, and you can see it. It's just a night and day appearance. You also won't be able to record a full quality copy of your video, and so you would need to download a compressed copy of it from Facebook later, which makes it harder to recycle the content into high quality materials. And then lastly, when filming in public, you don't have control over your environment. So if an ambulance pulls up, if someone walks into the scene, or any acts of God occur, you really won't be able to hide it. So going live really requires three main ingredients. One is the video and the audio signal, and this is your content. The second thing is an encoder or a computer. This is your pipeline or your stream of information. And then your streaming platform to your viewers, which is usually Facebook or YouTube. Now, cameras that I recommend, the one I'm actually using right now is the Logitech C920. You guys can probably see it looks pretty darn good for the most part. I do also recommend, if you want to go higher end, the Canon M50 comes in at about just under $500, and this just shows you the difference. This guy was streaming pretty much in the same room, different angles, different locations, but changed cameras, and you can see the difference is just night and day in how it looks. Number two, that encoder, and oftentimes we're using software. So here, we're using Zoom, which is basically converting the video and sending it out. But we also, in the professional world, are using hardware encoders, very much like that one you see in the picture there. I have one of them right here. And basically what this is doing, this is saying, hey, you're sending me a really high quality video feed, and that's a lot to push through our pipeline to get it onto the internet. We need to compress that signal and bring it down a little bit so that it doesn't take up as much space when we go to stream it out, and so that the people on the other side of it get to see a really, really nice live stream. So that's what an encoder does. And then of course your platform. So that's your Facebook, your YouTube, you can stream to Vimeo. Sometimes people are streaming to private custom pages, Zoom, Skype, so many more. So I'm gonna probably skip through this since we're starting to run out of time here, but you will get access to download this presentation. I wanna just mention real quick, SLIC is my acronym for making a really good looking live stream, sound, lighting, image, content, kittens. So sound, always make sure that you're mic'd up. You very rarely ever wanna rely off of the mic that's built into the camera. Lighting wise, you want to make sure that you have some lights, and if you don't, you can actually go to Home Depot, and for $100 you can get this bright as the sun light with a stand. And I always recommend that to people because at least being able to light the room, it's just a night and day difference, much like our example we had before. And you can even see that here, which leads me to image. So if you're putting yourself in front of a video, everybody, this drives me crazy, but when you're on your Zoom calls, do not sit with a window to your back. It really looks terrible. It's blown out. You really can't see the person. It's just distracting. Same goes for sitting in a super dark room. If it's not lit, we're trying to figure out, oh, what's that thing in the background? It's just super distracting. So having a nice clean background, just like you can see here in my office, nothing too crazy, or the examples here on the bottom, really makes all the difference for keeping people's attention. Composition, so too little headroom. Headroom's the amount of space between your head and the top of the frame. So some people tend to chop their heads off like this. Other people have too much headroom. So sometimes they look like this, and it makes them look very small and inferior. And so especially if you're doing a training, that's the last thing you want to do is look small and inferior. You want to look authoritative. You want to look like the expert in your field. This is proper headroom on the third picture there. And this is just a quick sample I showed you from my basement. The angles should also always be eye level. So right now it looks like I'm speaking to you when I look at the camera. In my examples here, you notice how if I'm pointed downward at myself or pointed upward at myself, you're either seeing my forehead or my chin. You're not looking at me directly in the face. And kittens, my last one of the SLICK acronym. So we've probably all seen this. This video went viral. It was a BBC News broadcast he was doing from home, and his kids broke through the door and started creating this ruckus. And you see his wife run in and like grab the kids and run away. Kittens can get in the background, right? Kittens will show up and pop up anywhere playfully. They don't know any better. And that's really where I recommend, close the door, put the dog away, seal off as many distractions as possible when you're on a live stream, because I'm not going to pay attention to you if there's a cute little cat walking through the picture. So it's tough to provide a full tutorial due to time. As you can see, I just squeezed an entire 2-hour-long presentation into roughly 30 minutes. But you can start to see the importance of either working with a professional or at least investing in the proper equipment if you want to proceed in doing live streams. However, it's important to keep in mind that the investment can lead to you being able to launch a podcast, launch a YouTube channel, make consistent Facebook videos, blog posts, maybe a #1 best-selling book and more. Would that make it worth it to you? Would that make that $499 camera worth the investment so that you could, launch your career, launch your business? I would say, undoubtedly yes. The answer is yes. So to recap, video is the best possible medium to tell these stories. You can leverage that medium to create content across multiple platforms and to build your business using video and using that marketing content funnel. And I just want to thank you all so much for hanging in there as I talk extremely fast. So like I said, so much time and so little to do. Wait a minute, strike that, reverse it. Feel free to go ahead to zmbmedia.com/present, and that'll give you a chance to download the PDF of these slides. And of course, I think Kathleen's recording this, so you can always revert back to the recording as well. And I hope you enjoyed that. And here is my contact information if you need to get in touch with me.
Oh my gosh. I'm just so thankful for having you today. Those 30 minutes are probably the best 30 minutes that we could use today in our time, because it gave so much information, so many creative ideas and forward-thinking ideas that you just gave a ton of really great content, Zephan, so thank you. I know we're a minute or two over, but I do have one question. Is the Zoom has an option to go live on YouTube and Facebook. What do you think about that option?
Yeah, I think it's fine for somebody who's trying to piece it together on your own. And for us, we leverage Zoom quite a lot in the live stream we just did for University of Baltimore, which you can see both on my personal Facebook page and the ZMB Media Facebook page. Feel free to check out just the recap video we made. We used 2 separate Zoom calls, and then we used our additional hardware to merge those calls together so that we could create a much bigger, well-produced event. But there's nothing wrong with using Zoom and sending it straight to Facebook. I think the one thing that I do want to recommend is that a lot of that is going to be based around, is your computer strong enough to do that? Because many people hear that their fans start spinning up, the computer heats up. It does take a lot of power to do that. And 2, is there any other features that you would want maybe someone like me to do? For example, when our clients come to us, we're really taking the tech side out of it and literally just letting them walk in, present, do their thing. So we're putting graphics up on screen. We're taking PowerPoint slides full screen. Maybe we're bringing in somebody who called in from Skype. There's a lot more that we can do, but I would say that having that hardware element to it. It really takes the strain off of the computer so that, you know, you're not sitting there with the fan spinning up like a rocket ship about to take off.
Excellent. And the time that you save by not having to figure out all the technology is just worth the price in gold. So David Brown has a question. Can the average Joe take a personal video / live stream video and break it down?
Yeah, you absolutely can. So let's say you've got that recording already, right? Let's just start from there. Realistically, if you're on a Mac, iMovie comes for free with the Mac. If you want to pay for professional editing software, Final Cut Pro is $300, one-time fee forever on the Mac. DaVinci Resolve by Blackmagic Design is also a free professional video editor that's been used on Hollywood films. That's free for both Mac and PC. And you could also try, if you're on a PC, Adobe Premiere Rush. So Adobe Creative Cloud is subscription-based, but Adobe Rush is available for both iPad, iPhone. It's also, I believe, Mac and PC compatible. If you're on an iPhone, you can download the iMovie app. If you're, there's a million and one different video editing softwares out there. I typically prefer the professional ones for obvious reasons, but also I would recommend the professional ones because you're going to find more tutorials on how to use that software on YouTube rather than some obscure video editing app that you might have seen mentioned once in a blog post. So it really isn't all that complex. I think that you could easily cut down and edit these videos. And same goes for YouTube. YouTube allows you briefly just to chop off the beginning and the end. So if you did need to trim something, let's say you're on a training, but you know, Kathleen, no offense, if I needed to cut out your introduction or maybe your outro and I just wanted to keep my training portion of this, I could potentially do that on YouTube. It'll allow me to kind of drag the front and the back end of it and just kind of take a chunk from the middle. So YouTube is, of course, free as well. I don't recommend it if you want to go more in depth, because if you want to say, okay, I've got a 90-minute keynote and I'm taking all these little chunks out, that's where you'll probably want to go for the software route. But YouTube's great if you're just trying to, you know, take a middle piece out of a video.
We have, and once again, I know we're going a little bit over, but this information is so great. So I'm sure people, if you need to go, we understand, but hang tight because more good information is coming. There's another question. I understand using cameras are great, but I have an iPhone X and I have Film Mic Pro. Oh my gosh, with anamorphic
Yep.
lens and Luma for editing. I need to get lighting. LOL. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so I mean, there's really nothing wrong, especially the iPhone 10 and up really have amazing cameras, but at the end of the day, you do have to provide them with more lighting. If you can imagine, you know, the difference in size between this lens on this camera and the cameras that I'm using day to day, it's a significant difference. And so the lens is what's allowing in that light. So back to my slide, I'll hop back here real quick. Let me show you this slide. So lighting wise, if you want to go the severe budget route, go to Home Depot. You can get these gigantic LED work lights. You will find that they're so bright that you actually need to bounce them off the ceiling to light the room. And so that's where I typically recommend, if you can spend a little bit of extra money, there's companies like Neewer, which is kind of the Chinese brand of lighting that is usually, I don't want to call it the knockoff because it's still pretty decent in quality, but this is kind of the more lower end consumer to prosumer side of lighting that you could get a 3-light kit. GVM is also another great company. G is in Greg, V is in Victor, M is in Mary. GVM makes similar lighting panels at a similar price too. But getting a 3-point lighting kit is really the best way to go. 1 light for your key, 1 light for your fill, and then the hair light which goes behind you to help separate you from your background.
Okay, that is amazing stuff. David had I think it's a question, ring LED lights I have seen. So
ring lights are the bane of my existence, and here's why. Ring lights were developed for one specific use and one specific use only. Ring lights were created because when all these YouTubers first got started, they wanted to do makeup tutorials. Was actually a very popular niche. And with makeup tutorials, oftentimes they're trying to imitate the photos that they see on the covers of magazine, where we have these big bright lighting sources, and so you can see what's called the catch light in someone's eye. If you actually look at this picture up on the screen, this slide that I have right now, you might actually see two large white dots in the pupils of my eyes. That's called the catch light. And what people are going for with the ring light is it's creating this really cool looking circular light, and it's evenly lighting the face, and it lets you shoot the camera through it. The problem with that is it's only made for that purpose. So it's only made for getting this ring around your eyes, which only really looks good when you're close up doing a makeup tutorial. And if you wear glasses, it's terrible because the ring has to be around the camera lens, face directly at you, versus any other lighting kit. You can raise it above and basically imitate how natural lighting would be in the ceiling. And that typically will leave the glare off of the glasses. So ring lights are absolutely terrible if you have glasses. And really, I don't recommend them unless you're doing a makeup tutorial. I really recommend using that 3-point kit because that's also going to give you that hair light or that backlight that's going to separate you from your backdrop. And I know for many of us in our home offices that are trying to make it look as nice as possible, very much how I am doing right here. You see this light back here actually. So that's actually adding just a little bit of a hair light to me to separate me from the background. And you can also see how that side of the wall is a different kind of shade than that. It just gives me a little more texture and a little bit going on behind me, even though I'm literally 6 inches from the wall. So I just don't recommend them.
Look at Zephan for what you should do, and then look at me for what you shouldn't do, I'm sure. So Zephan, I really do appreciate all of the time that you took with us today and all of the detailed information that you gave us. Everyone, it is not as easy as just, taking a video on your phone and posting it. If you really want to do this correctly and do this professionally, you need this kind of professional help. This is an art. It's not something that you just kind of pop up there and you're going to look like $1 million. So Zephan, thanks again for doing this for the Northwest Chamber. And we will have another webinar next month. So watch out for that information and please reach out, and don't forget the link that Zephan had shared to be able to get the PDF of this presentation. All right, so thanks everyone. Hopefully everyone's staying safe today. It's a beautiful day. That's why I'm sitting outside. Enjoy it. Zephan, any last words?
I would just say, I don't want to discourage anybody. There's a lot of great content in here that you can take and run with yourself. So I'm not saying that you have to hire me, and that's certainly not the message that I want to send out to people. If you're interested in really pulling it off, taking all the tech trouble off of your hands and the hours and time that you'll have to do in research and learning, then yeah, I'm definitely your guy for that. But truthfully, you can do this. Just understand that it takes a little bit of an investment and not simply just jumping up with your phone and going.
Good point. All right, everyone, take care. Thank you for joining us, and we will be back next month with another fabulous webinar. Thanks, everybody.